All right, we're gonna try and finish up this Prevost bus here. If you remember the last video, we talked about a lot of problems that he had. We took it to a previous shop. They didn't do anything they were supposed to do. They didn't do things right. They made it more dangerous than when he brought it into him. It left more dangerous than it came in. But we're gonna get into this here. Just a couple things. One thing, he took it to a shop because the parking brake wasn't holding. So they did some work on the parking brake. They replaced a valve and a couple of hoses. And then when he left, they gave him a complimentary tire chalk and said, you might need this. So if you have your parking brake worked on because it's not holding right, and then they give you a tire chalk and say it's complimentary, you might need this, that is not a good sign that the brakes were fixed properly. This little fitting is very hard to get to. And remember, he just had this at another shop and asked them to inspect the airbags. And if they were dry rotted at all, we want them replaced. And they said everything's good. And this is what we're replacing now, all these airbags that are completely dry rotted. What did you say? If the airbags are dry rotted, replace them is what you asked him?
Yes. Make it safe.
Yeah, that's all. Those little cracks, that's dry rot.
Look at that here, peel it again there.
Yeah, and they said your airbags are good. No problem. Got the new wheel seal put in there. Okay, so we got the two springs on there correctly now. We also greased everything else here. Haven't been done forever. It's best to do it without the brake drums on, otherwise the grease plops out into the brake. Pretty much everywhere where we greased, I'm gonna clean some of that up. It was the only grease that came out was what we were putting in. This hadn't been greased forever, and he did have recent PM done where they were supposed to grease everything, but this was never done. The S-cam. It took probably 30 pumps, and then my grease was the only thing that came out. No old grease at all. And that archway goes there so the hub clears it. Two new springs are all in there. Here you can see where that was rubbing on there.
This gun is serious.
Well, while we were replacing the shocks, that rear shock mount broke. Just snapped off at the end there. So we cut the little stub off so we can get an impact to get the stud part out. It was much easier than trying to use a wrench or anything, but we did get it out, and we ordered a new one from Prevost, so we got this new shock mount to go in. So we did replace that power steering pump. That was more than a full day's job to get to that thing. Hindsight, it might have been a couple hours less labor had we removed all of his Webasto stuff, because all the RV systems were in the way. It was very hard to get to. If we'd have removed the Webasto, it probably would have taken an hour and a half or so to remove it and an hour and a half to put it back in, but it probably would have made our lives a little bit easier to get to the power steering pump. There was no way to really get to it from the rear engine access above. We were going from down below, but because all the aqua-hot wiring and hoses and everything were in the way, it was very, very hard to get to. Well, his air conditioning dash air wasn't working right. The clutch for the compressor was pulling 50 amps and tripping a breaker on it. We figured out why. When they recently had that put on there, somebody put a 12 volt one on, and his bus is 24 volt. So we put a new clutch on it. We're going to test that out in a little bit here, but I'm sure that's a problem. Oh, I see it leaking in the back there. Yeah.
It's hot.
Just the one is working. Do it again. Do it again. Well, this is the second Jake brake solenoid on this engine where you can see that little ground strap is broken. So the solenoid's not firing, not working. Okay, well, this Jake brake diagram has come in really handy. We've had an electrical nightmare on this bus trying to figure out why his Jakes aren't working. We kept finding issues like those broken straps on the solenoids. One half of the engine was 24 volt. For some reason, I happened to check the other side of the engine and it was getting 12 volt. And then we looked closer at the solenoids. They are actually 12 volt solenoids. The diagram, everything should be 12 volt on the Jake brake side. And it wasn't. So the wiring was all messed up. And we were filing wires that were coming off different things, something that was changed at the factory. It was backfeeding, I think 24 volt on just the one half of the engine, which is the signal wire that goes to the brake lights when you have the Jakes on, so the brake light would come on. So yeah, that was just an electrical nightmare. And we found wires that were like going, butt connectors and changing colors where it was redone. The one wire was like laying over the generator exhaust that was melted. It was just tracking things down got very, very difficult.
So with the old buses, the 70 MCI, 71 MCI, the old 54, 4104, everyone's freaking out about the old electrical, the factory electrical. Oh my gosh, that old wiring, it's gonna be an issue. BS. The issue is what everybody tries to repair. It starts, they crimp in a red wire, then they run out of red. So they butt connector a yellow wire, then they butt connector a black wire, whatever they have to make it 40 feet. But the problem always, 99.9% of the time lies in the customer's repair, previous owner's repair, wherever somebody worked at, 99.9% of the time, that's where the effing problem is. That's where you're gonna find it. My 2 cents.
So don't look for the factory wiring.
No.
Look for something's been changed.
Something that's been changed and
then follow the butt connectors and the wire changing colors.
Yeah, and the bread twist ties instead of zip ties, and wherever it's chafing on the frame or it's up against the muffler for the generator, like, oh, that's awesome. That's a great place to let the wire dangle. But that's where I'm at, is follow what's not factory first.
There was one more thing. There was a change of a keypad to a switch that had this diagram came out for to fix this modification. And it was the switch and the plug for the switch were wired incorrectly. It's supposed to be like a mirror of each other. So when the plug went in, like 2 on the left, 1 on the right, it was like flipped up when you turned it upside down. It was facing the other way. So he just had to change a little bit of wiring. And then now we're going to test the Jakes here and make sure everything's working right. All right, so we were just getting ready to test the Jake brakes and the D-deck shut the bus down. There was a problem. The sensor for the coolant level, he bypassed it because it wasn't reading right. So we undid the bypass on it and it shut it down for low coolant. We're gonna just make sure the coolant level is full, and then we'll replace the sensor since apparently the sensor is bad. That is a dipstick.
Are you talking about to check the coolant?
Yeah.
Not me.
So we're there.
Yeah, he's right.
Okay, so it's a sensor then. Yeah, so this is the sensor that he had bypassed, and we had undone the bypass. I don't recommend that. I mean, maybe to get you home one time or something, make sure, fix that stuff. Stick the new one in. We're good. Gonna test the AC clutch now. Okay, now we're gonna manually fire the Jake brakes and make sure they're operational. So his belt tensioner was leaking a lot of air. There was an air tensioner that was on there, and we took it off and mounted a permanent turnbuckle on there. We're draining the oil out of there. Just took the gentleman's oil. We didn't know what it was in there, how old it is, or even what weight it is, so we're putting straight 40 weight in there. All right, so we changed the oil in it, even though you just had oil change. Remember, it came in, it was 4 gallons overfilled, and nobody ever checked the dipstick on it. So we're changing the oil. We're just gonna finish topping it off here a little bit, but it's nice and clean now. It is straight 40 weight, but yeah, the truck shop, they put in like 11 gallons, the receipts had 11 gallons of oil in an engine that holds 7 gallons of oil. Is it spinning good now, Jonathan? Does it spin now? Hey, what do you know? Let me get zoomed in on it here. Okay. The ground wire for the generator is slightly loose.
Good.
This video is sponsored by Harbor Freight. Using this Predator wood chipper out here, doing a bunch of cleanup after the storms and everything. Harbor Freight sent us this. They're great sponsors of our channel, so I'd like to thank them for that. It does up to 3-inch branches here in this part, and then you can do the smaller brush and debris up to 1/2-inch sticks on the top there. But yeah, up to 3 inches, it really just chews through them it's very aggressive. It's a really nice wood chipper. Starts first pull, that Predator motor, those things are great. But yeah, if you're looking for a wood chipper, definitely check out this one over at Harbor Freight. He backed halfway out. We let him do an RV dump and then go for a test drive.
Crazy, right?
So the power steering pump was just crazy loud.
It was screaming.
Like you couldn't hear yourself talking here because it was so loud.
That bad.
Yeah, well, it's much better now then. I don't even hear it.
You don't even hear it.
Yeah. We may hear it a little bit because we'll have to top it back off when we get back. But yeah.
But it's overall really good.
Yeah, and the brakes, you said it feel amazing. Just
Feel really good. Okay.
okay. Let's head back to 100 there. Watch the trees on the left. And we are in the drive ride height mode, we're correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It just defaults to that when you get
Okay.
here.
Normally it's a physical switch you flop, but yours is electronic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to fight that thing if you want to like turn the engine on and you have it already level, it'll just start dropping to the right eye. So. It's a different kind of system, but
And you said the brakes are way touchier now, right? As soon as you touch the pedal, it's wanting to.
but it's not dragging like it was before.
Yeah, it made a
was
horrible
locking-
noise.
The S-cam was locking up on that spring, causing that weird dragging sensation. Like it's just very linear now. It's good. Try the jigs down the hill.
They probably won't fire on our hill, but they'll work in the holler.
And we won't get the RPM by any means.
Just stay wide on this corner. Your front left headlight was flickering before you had the headlights on. So even when the headlights were off, somehow it's getting some kind of phantom voltage over there. And then once you turned them on, then they came on both sides, but it was just the front left that was flickering like that.
Seems something to do with the LED conversion somebody put on there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
somehow backfeeding through it seems like a parking brake circuit. Like when you when you press the parking brake off, they come on.
Oh.
And then they flicker when the parking brake's off. It's weird. The LEDs are always an issue with these things. They weren't meant for them, so you get weird feedback.
So you do have the Jake switch in the on position
Yeah.
right now? Yeah. When you get out here on the holler, and because this is downhill, you just don't realize it. So when you get out on the road, get going a little bit and then let off, and they'll probably fire. We're going to turn right.
It's just unbelievably quiet in here now. You know, having the rear shocks replaced too, everything has made this thing drive like a new bus again. Alright, clear. Nope, almost clear again.
You're probably not quite going fast enough.
We're just hovering around 1,000. It's probably
Yeah.
not good. It's good.
Yeah.
Wait. I hear something.
It's just not fast. It's just not fast enough. Go a little faster. Just leave them in the on position, and they'll go a little faster, and then let off.
I don't hear it yet.
We'll get it on the big hill coming down out of town. We just probably about twice the speed. So,
You know, I kept saying 30, it's 15 where it goes to.
oh,
I don't think that's the right cruise gauge. It looks different than all the other gauges.
some Prevos, their gauges only go to 15.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it pegs out, so
yeah.
maybe you can put one that shows higher.
Go ahead and get on it just a little bit here to get up to about 45, 50. And then what kind of boost are we seeing right now? Are we seeing the 15?
Just maxed out. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Since we just had all those pipes off and everything, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't hear it, but I feel like it's something's holding us back. We'll know when we come down this hill
Yeah.
coming the other way.
We need a good hill for this. I mean, the Jake brake troubleshoot guide, it says somewhere I think around 500 when you let off the accelerator that the pyro gauge should settle on before hitting 0 if it's not active. All right, Jake brake test. Perfect. Wow, they hold pretty good actually. Almost too much.
He spun the tires.
I'll throw it in a bus.
So we're going to want to leak check everything, and then we'll work on that generator, bleeding that a little bit more. I'm going to have you back onto the pit, yeah. One of his parking brake chambers we noticed wasn't releasing all the way. It was hanging up, and then we could push it in further with our hand when we were done. So we're going to replace both parking brake chambers on the drive axle. Replacing these 3036s. We just need to loosen this and spin it because the mounting bolts on the old one, where the air fittings are, they need to go this way. So these need to be spun around this direction. We're going to put new brake hoses onto the parking brake side. Already had new hoses on it from another shop that worked on it, but we're putting new hoses on the service brake side. Everything's all adjusted. We're going to have him do a test where he has 1,000 RPM with the parking brake on in drive and make sure the bus holds. Okay. That's fine. We don't want to do too much, but yeah, that's fine. Let's go ahead and pull forward over to here. Okay, you can start turning. Yeah, go ahead and you can. Well, we helped him document all that crazy work that he paid for that wasn't done right at the other shops. Hopefully he can get a refund for that. He sent us a nice text that everything made home great. The Jakes worked perfectly. And then, that he's so happy for us, sharing our time and expertise with them. And they're very comfortable using the bus. They feel it's a lot safer. So it's always nice to get a message like that.
See that white smoke rising up the holler through the trees. And from a mile away you can hear them play as they climb that hill with ease. At the top of that mountain there's a new life waiting for those who can make the run. If they can make it to the top, Scott will put them in the shop till their new life has begun. Mountain, where the buses come to run. Bus Grease Mountain, we're gonna get that big job done.